recently read a study that said that the non-denominational movement in Christianity in America has become the nation's largest segment of Christianity, where once upon a time it might have been Catholics or Lutherans or United Methodists or Baptists. Today, the most common denominational affiliation among Christians in our country is actually non-denominational. Now, in your world, you might not think about this much, but this is a big deal in my world. As a pastor, I am ordained as part of a denomination, which means that there's an organization that has given me authority and training and credentials and supervision and all the supports that have led me to become a pastor. But even more so than just being a professional organization, this all raises the question of, do denominations even matter anymore? I think a lot of people who believe in Jesus and who identify as Christians don't think a lot about what denomination they're a part of. And that kind of makes sense. You want to be part of a church that's welcoming and that's warm, where you have friends and relationships and where you believe in the ministry of the local church. But it all reminds me about my first day of seminary. You know, on your first day of grad school, you always have to introduce yourself to other people during orientation. But when you go to seminary for grad school, one of the ways you have to introduce yourself is not only just name and what state are you from, but also what denomination are you a part of. And so I turned to this guy, Pat, who would become one of my good friends in seminary, and we both said to each other, "Hi, I'm a lifelong United Methodist, but I don't know if I want to be a lifelong United Methodist anymore. Things are kind of messy in our denomination right now, and lately I've been thinking about leaving." And both of us kind of laughed and then realized that that's kind of where we found ourselves as we entered seminary. And I have to tell you that as I went through seminary, being part of the United Methodist Church became more than just a default thing for me. It became a really deliberate choice. I started seminary feeling like I needed to walk away from my denomination in order to support LGBTQ people in my life and in my community. But I came out of seminary feeling like more than anywhere else, the United Methodist Church is my home. And the United Methodist Church is going to continue to be my home, hopefully my whole life long. So it makes me wonder, what about you? How did you wind up at Hunts Memorial United Methodist Church? Are you a United Methodist just by default? Maybe it's like when you set up a crock pot meal, it's kind of set it and forget it. For a lot of people, we set it, we think, well, my parents were United Methodist. My husband and I always attended this church. I guess I'll always be United Methodist. We set it and we forget it, and we don't really think much about what the denomination means. On the other end of the spectrum, though, there's the cafeteria Christians, right? Where you take your tray and you go down the row of theology and you say, well, I like what the Baptists say about baptism, and I like what the Methodists say about grace, and I like what the Catholics say about sacraments. I'll just put a little bit of everything on my plate. There's nothing terribly wrong with either of those, and they're real. They're lived experiences for so many of us, especially at different points in our lives. But I want to invite you into not just defaulting to the crock pot or trying to piece together a cafeteria meal, but I want to invite you to consider what the chef-curated option might be. Because particular denominations have grown out of deep discernment and faithful people over generations. And as we celebrate our 250th year of being United Methodists here on this hill in Towson, Riderwood, Ruxton area, we are part of that long generational pattern of being Methodists, people called Methodists here in this place. Over the next 5 weeks or so, I will be sharing from my heart about why I chose to stay in the United Methodist Church in this video series called Why UMC. And I hope that you'll join me along the way and share your own reflections as to what parts of our Methodist tradition continue to be alive and vibrant in your own personal life and sparking the presence of the Spirit and the movement of grace in your life.